Hello, everyone. Well, the topic today is very interesting. How do you use genetic testing to maintain your weight? Well, I know I've been on a yo-yo diet going up and down, but that's why we have Dr. Borre with us. She is a doctor of chiropractor, and she has been working with her clients on weight loss and weight maintenance for the last quite a few years. So welcome for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, it's a wonderful educational tool that we use in our practice. And the way that it works, we start out and do a cheek swab. We send it off to our genetic lab, and they give us back a 45-page report that tells us how you should eat and exercise for life in order to keep the weight off. So they do provide us with 5 different levels of eating plans. So it kind of meets you where you are. But it tells us in the beginning, some of a lot of different genetic reports are different, but what ours specifically tells you is a customized set of macros. So that's the percentages of carbs to fat to protein that's right for your body, which is a fascinating thing because, we've heard all of these standards our whole lives, but who is the standard body? So when we look at it, when your genes are tested, it tells you what you need specifically. So if we see the macros, then we further break it down into multiple genes. It will go through a description of each of those genes and tell you in the last sentence of the paragraph. So if you're a really detail-oriented person, it's good to dig in and see all of the detail behind it. If you're in a hurry, the last sentence will tell you about your body specifically. So we can learn all kinds of things. Like, for example, I have a father-in-law who hasn't had a drip of water his whole life. Fine. Me, I have to have half of my body weight in ounces of water every day to feel my best. So that's one of the things that the genetic report can tell you. Water, it talks about fitness. Is it better for you to lift a bunch of weights or run? Or if your body doesn't like to run, how else can we accomplish that cardio piece? So genetic testing can tell you a wide variety of things. One of my favorites, the MTHFR gene, can even talk about moodiness. So it can tell you if you have a propensity to be kind of a more even-keeled person, or if you tend to swing with the waves a little bit. And then we can offer suggestions on whatever that report brings on how to deal with what your genes tell you about yourself. Like you mentioned, it is important to know how to get to a healthy weight, but it's most important to know how to stay there. So that's why this genetic piece can be amazing for anyone to look into. Just a great educational tool about your body. As I mentioned earlier, it does talk about the percentages of carbs to fat to protein, but it's impossible to eat based on a percentage. So it further breaks it down into those 5 different levels, which we can use anywhere from maintaining to losing. Or let's say you wake up tomorrow and decide you want to go run a marathon, or you want to be a bodybuilder. It even gives us that type of information so that you can use this piece to feel totally in control of your own weight, come what may. We all go through seasons. Maybe it's a vacation, maybe it's a 10-day cruise where we put on 5 or 10 pounds. You can go back and use the lower levels to figure out how to lose a little bit of weight, but then get right back into that healthy range where you're getting an appropriate amount of food every day. The second piece is a MET score. So a MET is an energy equivalent burned per hour of exercise. Then we provide a range. The report provides the range between a certain area of exercise that's appropriate for your body in a week. You would be shocked to find out how many people I've talked to that are over exercising. And once we get it down in the appropriate level, they can build muscle, they sleep better. They're amazed that they're actually getting more from less time in the gym. So this piece can tell us if you're too much, too little, or just right. And it can also tell us the intensity. So is it better for your body to take it easy, low impact over longer time? Is it better for your body to go high intensity, shorter time? So if we can look at all of the pieces, all of the keys that this genetic report gives us, it can give you a great picture for telling us how do you eat and how do you exercise to maintain a healthy weight lifelong.
I think it's fascinating. And my only question was, when you were talking about the percentage of carb, right? So then you break it down based on each individual's eating habits or meal plan. I mean, how does that work in the sense, like someone plant-based, right? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the percentages of carbs to fat to protein is further broken down into serving sizes. And those serving sizes are in 6 different food categories. So when we talk about proteins, fruits, vegetables, starches, healthy fat, and dairy. So for each person's specific needs, you may be dairy intolerant. So we may have to use a substitute for that category. If you're vegetarian, we would use the protein category, but we would find you proteins that are vegetarian. So for each person, we figure out how to make those 6 categories work with your specific needs and what you may already know about your body too. I think it's one kind of mishap that doctors often have is not thoroughly understanding that the patient knows themselves better than anyone, regardless of testing. So if we take those 2 things and marry them together, we do the genetic test, which may hold some surprises for you. We pair that with what you already know about your body and find something that works for your lifestyle. So we could fit that into kind of whatever needs that you have using the information that the report gives us as well.
And talk to us a little bit about the success of few of your clients. Maybe you can, that gives more validation on to that all of us should do the genetic testing to help ourselves, right? Maintain our body weight as well as metabolism.
Sure, absolutely. So just with the nature of what I do, the majority of patients who see me first have weight loss goals to accomplish first. So we actually do 4 different phases, and this is the 4th phase, but a small percentage that come to me are at a healthy weight and just want to know how to feel better, how to do it better. Or they may be at a healthy weight, but they have a low muscle mass, low endurance for goals they want to accomplish. We may see people that are at a healthy weight, but they're still struggling to take care of grandchildren or climb stairs. So we do it typically as the 4th piece of the puzzle after a jumpstart program, but it can also be used just for maintaining.
And then the clients that you have they been successful at maintaining the weight? That's the question, right?
They do, yes. So it's a little bit hard for me to track because we have a 6-month program and a 1-year program. So while they're under my care, I can watch all along the way. We do typically lose the vast majority of the weight in the first couple of months. So we have a good steady time together. We run about a 90% success rate overall from what I've been able to track, which is extremely high. I'm very pleased. And in those 10%, we work like crazy to figure out the whys and the whats. And we work on little things like habit replacement. If you consider yourself an emotional eater, then we need to work on emotions. I do have physicians that I co-treat with as well. So if it ends up being out of my wheelhouse, we want to make sure that we get you the care that you need for wherever you are. So we're constantly striving to make even that 90% better.
All right. Okay, well, this is a quick 10-minute session that we wanted to bring. Anything else that you'd like to add, Dr. Borre, or maybe talk to us about your programs?
Yeah, absolutely. So our program is Lifelong Metabolic Center. And the way that it works, we do 4 different phases. We typically work through a fat loading day, 40 days of intermittent fasting, 21 days of grazing, 6 meals a day. So it's a food cycling program. We use 5 all natural supplements. Our typical patient loses about a half a pound per day. So that's our average off the math that I've done. So about 20 pounds in the first 40 days. We can go through that cycle once or twice, depending on what your body needs. And then after the cycling, then we take you into that genetic piece that we talked about earlier, because I thoroughly believe, as our name states, it's so important as you open this interview with, not only to know how to lose it, but how to keep it off without feeling like you have to live on a diet. So that's where that genetic piece comes in to help you just maintain a moderate lifestyle, feeling like you're enjoying the things you want to enjoy. You're not restricted, but you can still live in a healthy way.
That's amazing. I think, and then you mentioned on the weight loss is intermittent fasting, right? So that you're using that, and do you want to elaborate for a couple of minutes? It's very fascinating. Sure. You're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So in phase 1, it's a single day and we do fat loading. And the reason we do that is fats are satiating. So your body can take those on day 1 and then feed back off of them as we're starting phase 2. Phase 2 is where we do intermittent fasting. And the way we define it, there's a few different ways you can define it. We do 2 meals per day. So we do 4 ounces of a lean protein, 1 cup of fruit, 1 cup of vegetables off of our very specific food list for lunch, and then again at dinner. So essentially you are intermittent fasting from dinner one night until lunch the next day. And a little asterisk there. Of course, our diabetic patients have modifications, our hypoglycemics have modifications, but, vast majority, we start out there. I do also have my patients text me every morning. So we get a very intimate relationship as far as I know their body, their patterns, their feelings about losing weight. So we pair that with the intermittent fasting in order to get those great results. That's where we get that number that I quoted of the 20 pounds in 40 days, because of the high level of accountability, the support of the supplements, and the intermittent fasting all paired together. After that, we go into phase 3, because the body will always go for homeostasis. It always goes for just getting used to whatever you're doing. So we have to shake it up. So for phase 3, we actually go to a grazing lifestyle where I have you eating 6 times a day off our same specific food list, which is anti-inflammatory, low glycemic. So it keeps blood sugar and insulin nice and steady. We avoid those dips and spikes. We build muscle. And phase 3 is where we go for tightening, toning, and firming, because we don't want to end up with a lot of sagging when you're done. A lot of like those rapid plans end up with a body that you're not really happy with at the end. So we pair those 3 cycles together. So that would be the plan for a patient who wanted to lose 20, 25 pounds. Then we would go into the DNA component of it after that. For patients that are closer to the 50-pound mark, we would go through that jumpstart twice. Then we would go into phase 4 for the long-term maintenance. So that's the difference in our 6-month program and our 1-year program, 1 or 2 cycles of the intermittent fasting.
All right. Well, that sounds great. I have only tried the intermittent fasting, but not the other one that you talked about, but I'm going to try what you're saying. And you highly recommend. Go ahead, please.
Well, and the intermittent fasting too, we have a very, very specific food list. And so once you stick to that very specific food list, it makes all the difference in the world. Because if you're having higher glycemic foods in the moments when you are eating, then you're going to crash when you're intermittent fasting. So a lot of patients come to me and say, oh, I can't do it. I felt terrible on it. But when they were eating, it was the choice of foods when they were eating that they were making mistakes. And once we get them on the right food list, then they're able to sustain that healthy blood sugar and insulin, so you don't feel the wave of the energy.
Absolutely. And I think all of us are culprits to that. I also go all the way up and down. And to your point that it's very critical for all of us, if you want to lose weight and maintain a weight, work with someone who understands personalized, right? It's called what you're doing is a personalized weight loss program. And that's important for all of us, right?
Yeah. We start out with the basic bones. We give you the basic structure. And then once I see those daily texts, we modify according to what your body needs. Sometimes it's what your body needs. Sometimes it's what your mind needs. So I try to meet them where they are and walk them through it, because it's such a personal journey. Weight loss is such a personal journey.
Absolutely. And then we don't have time to go into what obesity can do for chronic conditions, right?
Yeah.
That's a completely different topic altogether, but we just wanted to bring today how genetic testing can help you maintain a healthy lifestyle and healthy weight. Thank you so much, Dr. Borre, for educating us. It's an educational session that we bring on a daily basis. So stay tuned every single day. With that, thank you so much. Have a great week. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.